Grimora.
I first heard the mountains breathe on the night my brother disappeared. People in our small Appalachian town often spoke about the mist, how it rolled down the ridgelines like spilled milk, how it carried whispers if you listened close, how it had a way of moving like it was alive. I always thought it was local superstition, something the older folks said to keep kids from wandering too far into the hollers. But I learned the truth the night Caleb vanished. It was October, and the kind of cold that cuts deeper than the air temperature should allow. Caleb and I had been driving an old mountain road, heading toward an abandoned ranger lookout where we used to camp as kids. Nothing felt strange at first, just the familiar twist of the unpaved road and the sound of gravel snapping beneath the tires. Then the mist rolled in, not like fog, not like low clouds. It came from the trees like something breathing out, thick, white, alive. Caleb slowed the truck. "That's not normal fog," he muttered. The headlights dissolved into it, swallowed whole. We couldn't see past a few feet. Then something moved in front of us. A shape, tall, thin, lurching. We froze. Caleb whispered, "Did you see that?" Before I could answer, the shape stepped closer, just enough for me to see that it didn't walk. It glided, a long, human-like silhouette, but stretched, like its limbs had forgotten how to be human. The figure stopped in front of the truck. It tilted its head, as if listening. Then the mist thickened around it, twisting, wrapping, pulling it backward into the trees like it had never existed. "Jesus Christ," Caleb said under his breath. Something flickered in the rearview mirror, a dark shape in the road behind us. I turned. Nothing. But the mist, it moved like hands dragging across the ground. Caleb pressed the gas. The truck didn't move. The road was clear, the engine was fine, yet the wheels wouldn't turn, like something held us in place. Then we heard it, a whisper inside the mist. Not a voice, a breath. Close, too close. Caleb's breathing turned shaky. "Lock the doors." I pressed the button, too slow. A handprint formed on the driver's window, a stretched, long-fingered hand. Caleb screamed and slammed the gear into reverse. The truck lurched backward. Something scraped along the side, a long, deep metallic cord that didn't sound like any branch. The truck finally broke free, and Caleb floored it, turning us around sharply. We didn't speak for the entire drive back. Neither of us could. When we reached home, Caleb didn't get out. He sat in the driver's seat, staring into the dark woods behind our house. "Did you hear it?" he asked quietly. "Hear what?" He looked at me, eyes wide, voice hollow. "It said my name." I didn't hear anything that night except Caleb's shaking breath. I didn't hear anything except my own heart exploding in my ears. But the next morning, he was gone. No footprints, no signs of struggle. Door left open, mist on the porch, even though the morning was clear. No one believed me when I said the mist followed us home. No one believed me when I said something stood outside our house before Caleb disappeared. But I saw it. I knew. So, that night, I went back to the mountain alone.
The mist was waiting for me then, and the shadow, too.
The mountain road looked different at night. Too quiet, too hollow, like the world had been thinned out. Even the trees seemed to lean away from me as I drove up toward the ridge, their branches knotted like arms in prayer. I kept my high beams on, though it barely helped. The mist was already gathering. I parked the truck exactly where we'd stopped the night Caleb vanished. The scratches from that long-fingered thing still scarred the paint. In the moonlight they looked deeper, wider, almost like they had spread on their own. The silence wasn't natural. Appalachian nights were full of sounds, owls, insects, wind moving in the hollers. But tonight, nothing. Like the world was holding its breath. I took a flashlight and stepped out, my boots crunching the gravel. The air was strange, heavy, cold, wet with something thicker than fog. I could feel it sit on my skin like fingertips. "Caleb," I yelled. My voice echoed, but didn't travel far, as if the air swallowed it. No answer, only movement. At the tree line, a ripple in the mist. I walked toward it slowly, each step feeling like it pushed against resistance. My breath fogged in front of me, even though it wasn't cold enough for that. Then I saw footprints, bare, human, too deep, fresh. They led off the road and into the woods, but the trees were wrong. They weren't where they used to be. Paths I knew from childhood were shifted, branches twisted differently, even the ground sloped at odd angles, like the mountain had rearranged itself. I followed the prints into a narrow clearing lit only by moonlight cutting through the mist. There was a stump in the center. On top of it lay something that made my stomach drop. Caleb's phone. It was cracked, wet, screen dimly glowing. A notification flickered. Voice recording saved. My hands shook as I opened the file. Static filled my ears, then a whisper through the static. "It's here. It knows my name. Don't follow." A scraping sound, a breath, a distorted voice that didn't sound human. "He's not alone." My flashlight flickered. The mist shifted behind me. Slowly, deliberately, I turned. Something stood between the trees, tall, long-limbed, its body hanging like wet cloth draped over bone. Its head tilted, or where a face should have been, was smooth, white, and stretched tight like paper. And in the center, a mouth, a vertical slit, opening, wider and wider, as if it were inhaling me. I stumbled backward. The footprints behind me changed direction, shifting in real time, turning deeper, as if someone invisible was walking backward through them. No, not invisible. Something unseen. I heard my brother's voice, faint and trembling. "Help." Then a darker voice layered underneath it. "He belongs to me." The shadow moved, fast, but not like running. Like the mist was delivering it closer. I bolted back toward the truck, branches ripping my jacket, my breath punching out in clouds. Behind me, something dragged, something scraped, something whispered my brother's name. I didn't look back. When I reached the road, the mist thinned suddenly, like something had stopped chasing because it wanted me to leave. I didn't get in the truck immediately, because on the windshield, something was written in streaks of condensed mist. Not a word, a symbol. The same spiral pattern Caleb used to draw when he was nervous. The same spiral carved faintly on the stump. The same spiral the shadow's face seemed to open into. This thing wasn't random. It marked him, and now it had marked me.
When I got home, the porch light flickered. Not the usual cheap bulb flicker,
but a slow, deliberate pulse, like something was breathing inside the bulb. The mist hadn't followed me all the way back, but the air felt wrong, still, heavy, as if the mountain wasn't done with me. I locked the door, closed every window, and sat on the couch with Caleb's phone still clutched in my hand. The cracked screen glowed faintly, as if waiting for me to open that recording again, but I couldn't. Not yet. Instead, I tried calling him, straight to voicemail. Then something happened that made every hair on my skin stand up. His voicemail message wasn't his voice. It was the same distorted whisper from the recording. "He can't hear your call." My throat tightened. I dropped the phone onto the couch and backed away slowly. Then, footsteps. Inside the house. Upstairs. Not heavy, light, barefoot. Too light to be Caleb, too slow to be normal. Like something was learning how to walk. I grabbed the nearest thing, a fireplace poker, and crept toward the stairs. Each step creaked louder than I remembered. Halfway up, the footsteps stopped. Silence. Then, my bedroom door creaked open. I swallowed hard and whispered, "Caleb." No answer. Only soft breathing. I pushed the door slowly. The room was dark, but not fully. Something pale stood in the far corner, nearly blending with the wall. For a moment I thought it was the wall. Then it moved. Too tall, too thin, its arms dangling almost to its knees, its body trembling like a puppet hanging by invisible strings. Then its head bent sideways, unnaturally far, until it faced me. I froze. It didn't have eyes. It didn't have features. Just a stretched, flat surface. And beneath it, a shifting spiral, pressing outward like something wanted to break through. The same spiral. The same one from the tree stump. The same one that marked Caleb. The same one on the misty windshield. Then it spoke, but the voice didn't come from the smooth face. It came from inside the walls, from the floorboards, from the beams, from everywhere. "He's still here." I stumbled backward, dropping the poker. The figure twitched violently, its limbs snapping into sharper, wrong angles before it collapsed into mist, like its body had no bones at all. The room went silent, completely still. Then, my phone buzzed downstairs. A text from Caleb. My shaking hands lifted the phone. Message: "Don't trust the voice that sounds like me." My heart stopped, because upstairs, behind me, the breathing started again. But this time, it sounded exactly like Caleb. Slow, unsteady, pleading, "Help me, please. I'm still here. Don't leave me." I didn't turn around. I ran down the stairs so fast I nearly fell through the railing. I grabbed my keys, my jacket, and bolted out of the house into the freezing night air. But the porch light flickered again. Once, twice, then in a slow, deliberate rhythm. Tap, 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 tap. I froze. That was our childhood signal, the one Caleb used whenever he was scared, the one he used the night our father died in these mountains, the one no one else should know. Unless the thing in the mist had been listening. I stood frozen on the porch, staring at the flickering light as it tapped out that horrible, familiar rhythm. The mountains were silent. The air was still, and the mist at the edge of my yard swayed like something breathing. Tap, 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 tap. Caleb's signal. But Caleb wasn't here. Not in any human way. I stepped backward off the porch, my boots crunching on dead leaves. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but something in that tapping, something in the rhythm, felt intentional. Not a warning, not a cry for help, a lure. The porch light flickered again, brighter this time, revealing a figure standing just beyond the tree line. At first, it looked like Caleb. Same height, same jacket, same way of standing slightly hunched like he'd been running. "Caleb?" I whispered. He stepped forward, and the mist parted around him like curtains. But something was wrong. His movements were too slow, his body too rigid, his head slightly tilted, as if his neck couldn't hold it naturally. "Don't trust the voice that sounds like me." His text echoed in my mind. This wasn't him. The thing wearing his shape took another step. Its arm jerked, like a marionette string had been pulled too hard. "Help!" it whispered in Caleb's voice, but the tone was hollow, empty, like a recording played through broken speakers. The mist behind it thickened, swirling upward into a tall, twisting column. Something inside it pulsed, like a heart beating inside smoke. I took another step back. The not Caleb figure twitched violently, and its face began to melt, literally melt, like wax dripping off bone. Beneath the melting face was that same stretched smoothness, and beneath that smoothness, the spiral, pushing outward, breathing. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. The mist behind the creature split, and a taller shape emerged, longer, darker, its limbs stretching unnaturally, as if unfolding themselves inside the mountain itself. The shadow. The same one from the road. The same one from my bedroom. The same one that took Caleb. It towered behind the imitation Caleb, like a puppeteer behind a puppet. Its head lowered. It leaned close to the fake Caleb's ear. Then the puppet spoke again, this time perfectly in Caleb's real voice. "Why did you leave me?" My knees nearly buckled. These mountains played tricks, but this wasn't a trick. It was intelligence. Intentional. It knew how to touch memories, twist emotions, weaponize grief. The creature took a step toward me, the shadow behind it gliding silently over the ground. The mist rolled forward in waves, reaching for my feet like grasping hands. I stumbled backward toward my truck, fumbling with the keys. The porch light flickered again, brighter, almost blinding, and for a split second the creature's face fully dissolved. And I saw it. A hollow opening, not a mouth, a void, a black spiral that turned in slow, sickening circles, as if it were trying to pull me into it. My vision blurred at the edges, my ears filled with static. A voice, not mine, not Caleb's, whispered inside my skull. "Help him. Save him." The spiral pulsed faster. I snapped out of the trance just enough to yank open the truck door and throw myself inside. The truck didn't start. The mist was already climbing the windows. The porch light flickered once more, then plunged everything into darkness. The last thing I saw, before peeling out of the driveway, was the shadow's limbs stretching toward the truck, the puppet Caleb's arms hanging limp like a discarded toy. I sped down the mountain road, heart pounding, mist clinging to the mirrors until it finally thinned as I reached the lower valley. But halfway home, my phone buzzed again. A new message from Caleb. I opened it with shaking hands. Message: "You're running the wrong way." My blood ran cold because the timestamp on the message wasn't now. It was sent 10 minutes before I saw the fake Caleb in my yard, which meant he was still alive somewhere, and he was watching me.
The road swayed beneath my tires as I drove, not because of the curves, but because my hands were shaking so badly I could barely keep control. Caleb's message kept replaying in my mind like a warning I was too slow to understand. You're running the wrong way. Wrong way? Away from the mountain? Away from the shadow? Away from that imitation wearing his face? What did he mean? My thoughts spun until I nearly missed a curve and skidded onto loose gravel, the truck fishtailing violently before regaining traction. I slammed the brakes and leaned forward, forehead touching the steering wheel. Think, damn it. If Caleb had sent that message before the fake one appeared, that meant he's alive, he has access to his phone, or something has access to his mind, or he's somewhere the creature is letting him speak. But why warn me? Why tell me I'm running the wrong direction? I lifted my head. The mist, thinner down here, curled across the road like it was waiting for me to choose. I checked the timestamp again. Sent 10 minutes before I saw that puppet Caleb, and 10 minutes before the porch light tapped our childhood code. If he sent the message from somewhere deeper in the mountains, the creature could be leading me away from him? I turned the truck around. The mist instantly thickened, swirling in the headlights like something thrilled by my decision, almost guiding me. I drove back toward the higher ridges, toward the place where Caleb disappeared. As I climbed, the air grew colder. The trees leaned inward, their branches forming archways overhead like I was entering a different world. Then the road ended, blocked by a fallen tree. It hadn't been there earlier. I got out, breath fogging in front of me even though the temperature wasn't that low. The tree wasn't just fallen, it looked placed, deliberately, as if something put it there to force me off the main road. Beyond the tree, a narrow path cut through the woods, unmarked, steep, barely visible, but footprints led into it, bare, human, deep. Caleb's? Or something pretending. The mist drifted along the path, crawling over roots and stones like a trail. Something wanted me to follow, or someone wanted me to follow. And if Caleb was really alive, I had no choice. I grabbed a flashlight and stepped over the fallen trunk. The path swallowed me quickly, trees tightening on both sides, branches scraping my sleeves, the ground sloping unevenly beneath my boots. Halfway down, the air changed. Warmth, a faint orange glow through the trees, like firelight. "Caleb?" I whispered, but the voice that answered wasn't his. It came from deeper in the woods, layered, multiple voices speaking at once. Old, young, male, female, all whispering the same word. "Help." I stopped. The glow strengthened, flickering like flames. But when I stepped closer, I saw no fire, but only a circle of stones and something glowing beneath them. A spiral carved in the ground, filled with a faint phosphorescent mist that pulsed like a heartbeat. I crouched next to it. The spiral matched the one on the stump, on the windshield, in the creature's face, in the puppet Caleb's melting skin. And as I leaned closer, a familiar voice rose from the spiral. "Run before it comes back, Caleb. It was Caleb. "Caleb, where are you?" His voice, weak, trembling, echoed from beneath the spiral. "It's holding me here. I can't move. I'm below." Below? I looked at the ground, dry leaves, rock, soil, no cave entrance, no hole. But then, my flashlight flickered, the ground shimmered, then the spiral twisted, literally twisted, like it was rotating beneath my feet, and suddenly the earth felt thin, hollow. A breath of cold air pushed upward, carrying the scent of wet stone and decay. Then I heard something else. Footsteps. Not Caleb's. Not human. Slow. Dragging. Too heavy for a normal body. Too light for something solid. Coming closer. From behind. I turned slowly, heart punching my ribs. At first, I saw nothing, just darkness thick as tar between the trees. Then it stepped forward, the shadow. But not the thin, stretched version from before. This one was thicker, its limbs swollen like they were full of mud, its body bending and unfolding like it had crawled out from under the mountain's skin. Its head was tilted in that unnatural broken angle, except worse, crooked, twisted, like it had turned too far and never turned back. The spiral on its face opened slowly, wider than ever before, turning faster and faster, pulling the mist inward like a whirlpool. My flashlight flew from my hand, sucked toward that impossible void. Leaves lifted off the ground, dust spun around me. A force wrapped around my legs, pulling me toward the spiral. And beneath the roar of the wind, I heard Caleb scream. Not from the woods, not from the path, from underneath me. The spiral wasn't just a symbol, it was a door. And the shadow was opening it.
The force pulling me toward the spiral was unreal. Cold fingers of wind twisting around my legs, dragging me across the dirt inch by inch. The trees around me bent inward, their branches bowing like they were being sucked toward that turning void. "Come," the shadow whispered, not with one voice, but many layered voices, like every victim it had ever taken was speaking through it. Caleb screamed again from beneath the earth, his voice cracking in terror. "Don't let it take you!" he cried. I dug my hands into the soil, clawing against roots and stones as the pull strengthened. My fingers bled, dirt packed under my nails. My boots scraped violently as they dragged through the leaves. The spiral widened, its glow intensifying until I could see something beneath the ground. Movement. Hands. Human hands. Reaching upward. Hundreds of them. Bodies pressed under the soil like a graveyard that never stopped filling. And in the middle of them, Caleb, his face pale, eyes frantic, hair matted with dirt. He wasn't far beneath the ground, just inches. He reached his arm toward me, his fingers trembling. "Save me!" he screamed. My heart broke, but something was wrong. His mouth, his lips, they weren't moving in sync with the words I heard. His scream came a half-second too late, delayed, mismatched, like a voice played over a speaker, like a puppet, like the thing in my yard. "No," I whispered. "No, that's not you." The ground Caleb's eyes turned black in an instant, deep, empty holes with swirling spirals glowing inside them, and his arm stretched like rubber, snapping and elongating toward me in a grotesque whip. The shadow behind me lunged forward, its spine cracking loudly as it twisted its body to face the spiral. Its limbs folded like a praying mantis as it crouched low. It hissed, then everything stopped. The wind halted, the forest froze. The spiral pulsed once, twice, and abruptly dimmed. The shadow recoiled, tilting its head sharply.
Someone was interfering. Behind me, the trees rustled. A voice whispered, "Don't touch the ground." It wasn't Caleb. It wasn't the shadow. It wasn't any voice I recognized. I spun around. A figure stepped out from behind the trees. A woman, old mountain clothing, a lantern in her hand, burning with pale blue fire. Her eyes were white, her face gaunt, her hair a mess of tangled gray. But she stood with a strength that contradicted her withered appearance. "I warned your people for decades. You all stopped listening." The shadow turned toward her slowly, limbs shaking. The woman lifted her lantern. The blue flame flared dangerously bright. The shadow shrieked, a sound so piercing I staggered backward, hands over my ears. The spiral beneath me tightened, shrinking like a closing mouth. "You don't belong to it yet," she growled at me. "But your brother? He ain't whole no more." My chest tightened. "Is he alive?" Her eyes fell to the dimming spiral. "Alive? Yes." She hesitated. "But not human." My legs nearly gave out. "What is that thing?" I choked out. She lifted the lantern toward the shadow, forcing it to retreat into the mist like a cornered animal. "They call it the Hollow Man. Older than these mountains, older than the people who built roads here. It hunts the ones who wander in the mists, the ones who hear it." The shadow growled, a rattling, multi-layered sound. The woman stepped closer to me. "You heard it, didn't you?" I swallowed hard. "Yes?" She sighed, a long, defeated breath. "Then it'll follow you no matter where you go. It don't stop once it chooses someone." My chest tightened painfully. "What about Caleb?" I whispered. She looked at me with sorrow. "It chose him first." A moment of heavy silence. Then she added, "But you still got a chance, if you walk with me now." The shadow lunged suddenly, its long fingers slicing through the air like blades. The woman thrust her lantern forward. A blast of blue flame shot out, forcing the creature to recoil with a shriek that shook the ground. "Move!" she shouted at me. I didn't think. I ran, into the mist, into the woods, following the old woman as the Hollow Man screamed behind us. The forest shifted violently, the trees bending and twisting like a maze, rearranging itself in real time. The mountain wanted me, the shadow wanted me, but the lantern woman, she was the only thing keeping me alive. We reached a narrow ravine. She grabbed my arm. "Once you cross this, everything changes. You ready?" "No," I gasped, "but I don't have a choice." Behind us, the shadow rose taller than the trees, its spiral face spinning like a vortex. She lifted the lantern. "Jump!" And together, we leapt into the ravine as the Hollow Man descended upon us.
When we hit the bottom of the ravine, the world didn't feel like the mountain anymore. The air was thicker, warmer, like stepping into a lung that was breathing around us. The mist glowed faintly blue from the lantern's flame, and the ground beneath my boots pulsed softly with every heartbeat of the light. The old woman held her lantern tightly. "It followed," she whispered. Of course it followed. I looked behind us. The Hollow Man stood at the edge of the ravine, silhouetted against the twisting mist. Its limbs stretched unnaturally as it leaned forward, tasting the air. The spiral on its face spun faster and faster, pulling the fog toward it in hungry waves. "We can't outrun that," I whispered. "You don't outrun it," she said. "You confront it." I don't know how." She gave me the lantern, and then I realized something horrifying. Her hand wasn't warm. It wasn't cold. It wasn't anything. Her fingers felt like dry leaves, crumbling at the edges. She wasn't alive, at least, not anymore. She saw my expression and gave a sad smile. "I ain't walked this mountain in a human body for 77 years, she said quietly. "It took me too. I just didn't let go as easy." I stepped back instinctively. She shook her head. "I ain't here to harm you, boy. I'm here because your brother called out, and because this thing's reach is getting wider. Too wide." The hollow man climbed down the ravine wall, not walking, but unfolding downward, its limbs bending backward and sideways, its joints turning like hinges on a broken door. The spiral face pulsed violently. The old woman pressed her forehead to mine. "You need to listen carefully," she whispered. "Your brother is not gone." My breath caught. She pointed to the lantern. "That flame is the boundary. As long as you hold it, the hollow man can't fully touch you. But once you choose to step into its world," she looked toward the creature, "you can pull someone back." "Pull Caleb back?" Her eyes softened. "If you're strong enough." But then her expression darkened. "But understand, something else will try to pull you. It don't let go easy." The hollow man screeched, the sound vibrating in my teeth. The spiral expanded like an eye opening wider. The old woman stepped away from me. "This is where I leave you." "No, please!" She shook her head. "You got a living heart. I ain't had one for a long time. That's why it's you who can save him, not me." She walked toward the hollow man, and the creature stepped back from her, afraid. She turned once more. "Hold the lantern high. Face the spiral. Don't blink. Don't breathe deep. And whatever voice you hear, don't answer unless it's really him." The hollow man lunged. She lifted her arms, her entire form bursting into blue flame, and collided with it, forcing the creature backward in a roar of twisting smoke and fire. "Go!" she shouted. I ran, straight toward the spiral face. The air thickened around me. My ears filled with static. Voices clawed at my mind. Hundreds, thousands, all whispering, begging, screaming. "Help me! Let me out! Come closer! Look at me!" But I held the lantern high. The flame flared, forming a circle around me, keeping the voices at bay. Then, a single voice cut through the rest. "Caleb, don't leave me! Please!" He sounded broken, afraid, desperate. "Caleb!" I yelled. "Where are you?" "In the dark, down here. Hurry!" The spiral face pulled me closer. The ground turned black beneath me. My boots sunk into the mist like sinking into water. I felt hands grabbing my ankles, cold, skeletal hands pulling. I screamed. The lantern flickered, dimmed, almost went out. Then I heard it. "Hey, hey, look at me." Caleb's real voice. Not desperate, not hollow, not broken. Soft, steady, just like when he used to calm me down as kids. "I'm behind the spiral, not inside it," he whispered. "Don't trust anything calling from below." The ground Caleb voice screamed in rage. Hundreds of hands clawed at me. The lantern nearly fell from my grip. I squeezed my eyes shut. "Caleb," I whispered, "I'm coming to you. Just tell me where." "Right in front of you," he said softly. I opened my eyes. Behind the spiral, just beyond the hollow man's twisting void, stood Caleb. Not twisted, not stretched, not distorted. Just my brother. Eyes full of terror, but still himself. "Take my hand," he said. I reached forward. The hollow man shrieked, the spiral exploding outward like a collapsing star. The force almost tore my arm from its socket. Hands pulled at my legs. Voices screamed in my mind. Mist filled my lungs like drowning. The lantern flame sank dangerously low, almost dying. Then Caleb grabbed my hand. Human, warm, real. I screamed with everything inside me and yanked him upward. The lantern flared. Blue fire erupting around us, blinding the entire ravine.
The hollow man recoiled, its limbs snapping backward, howling as the spiral on its face collapsed inward, shrinking into a single black dot, a vacuum, a point of collapse. And then everything exploded outward. Mist shot into the sky. Trees bent. The ground shook. The hollow man screamed once more, a long, collapsing wail, and then it folded into itself, gone. The lantern went dark, and the ravine fell silent. I collapsed to my knees, dragging Caleb close, my heart pounding so hard I could barely breathe. He hugged me, weak and shaking. "You found me," he whispered. "I always will," I said. We stumbled out of the ravine as dawn broke over the Appalachians. The mist thinned. The woods felt lighter, alive. But as we reached the main road, Caleb froze. "What's wrong?" I asked. He lifted his shirt. There, just below his ribs, was a faint dark spiral, slowly moving, pulsing, not gone, just waiting. Caleb looked at me, tears in his eyes. "It marked me," he whispered. I took his hand. "We'll fight it together." But deep down, I knew the truth. Some things in the mountains don't die, they wait. And somewhere far behind us, deep in the misty hollers, something whispered my name.